I want to get right to the images of the hour. This has escalated within the last 30 minutes or so. You have demoted the police chief and you are not commenting why. Curious under what scenarios you will declare victory tonight or concede. This is the sign that will greet voters here in Waukesha, telling them to stop. A lot of clarification needed from the governor and Republican leaders on what's next as businesses are left scrambling. Are you implying that Ambassador Sondland lied today when he said he shared some information with you? Following the shooting at Noblesville West Middle School that has injured one student and one teacher. Police revealing that the student asked to be excused from his 7th grade science class and then came back in with 2 handguns and started shooting. I want to take you and show you this sign because something pretty cool is happening. Did the president ask you to bring up Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden in your conversation with Ukraine's president?
No, absolutely not.
Can't get the state's largest city, which is run by a Democrat, to comply with this new order. How do you convince everyone else to participate? You can stay up to date on our CBS 4 Indy app throughout the night. What do you need to do tonight, Mr. President?
Do well, but don't poke that in my face like that, okay?
What are the expectations going into tonight?
We're just having a good time.
Any new policy proposals we can expect in terms of Homeland Security? Should Wisconsinites believe any proposal right now coming from the administration?
Well, the truth of the matter is...
And that is the loudest of the flashbangs we've heard this evening. And you can see off in the distance, and if you can see rising up over the garbage trucks, that is the tear gas that is being dispersed as we speak. Several rounds, another flashbang coming. You're going to see a lot of people running towards the camera because the tear gas is, of course, going to be coming this way. I can start to smell it, and it's going to come into St. Here as you see people yelling. Police, though, from about 8 to 8:30 had water bottles thrown at them, fireworks thrown at them. They gave numerous warnings, said that tear gas would be dispersed if, in fact, they did not leave. Numerous warnings had been given and have been given. We've seen the Wisconsin National Guard, a number of vehicles patrolling around the area tonight. The governor, of course, deploying 125 people. As the tear gas comes, Derek, we're going to send it back to you into the studio because we're in the midst of it at this point. We're outside the hotel that Governor Pence is staying at this evening. If you recall, he was brought in through a back door last evening when all the speculation was still swirling, still even some questions about whether he was going to be the final pick. He was holed up in the hotel overnight until this morning. Our own CBS 4's James Girardi is live at the State House tonight. He was inside the Secretary of State's office all afternoon in what can only be described as a whirlwind this evening. There are factions of different speeches going on, and here he comes, Senator Tim Kaine, on the stage, officially about to accept the nomination for vice president. That voted by acclamation just a few hours ago this afternoon as he approaches the stage to officially introduce himself, so to speak, to the country. A lot of folks across the country don't know him. Let's listen in as he prepares to enter the stage. You see Joe Biden up in the stands. We have seen Bill Clinton here, Bernie Sanders in the stands as he is waving at the crowd and audience. This really, as we saw with the governor last week, his first introduction, not only to tout the candidate, but also himself, his credentials, his agenda, and also a personal story about who exactly he is as a candidate and what he will do to the Hillary Clinton campaign. What's really going to be interesting, we saw this last week with Governor Pence, is what role he's going to play. Let's listen in. Senator Tim Kaine officially accepting the Democratic nomination for vice president. Authorities saying this afternoon the student asked to be excused from class and then moments later returned with 2 handguns and started shooting. Here's a look inside at another classroom in the high school as students in other classrooms and schools blocked their doors and crouched in corners. This here because of a secondary threat at the high school. Students of the middle school telling CBS 4 tonight their science teacher tackled the shooter when yelling for the students to run. Tonight, one middle school family remains at Riley Hospital. Their daughter recovering, the teen after being hurt during this shooting. That's where CBS 4's Jill Glavin has been stationed all day. She's live now with the latest there. Jill. All right, Jill, well, we do know a lot of thoughts and prayers headed toward that family tonight. Also in Noblesville this evening, community members beginning to show solidarity together in the aftermath of today's shooting.
12 News' Matt Smith was the only reporter in Madison when campaign workers dropped off signatures at tonight's 5 o'clock deadline. Matt?
Patrick, tonight election officials say that petition is pending. At least 2,000 valid signatures would be needed as new questions arise tonight about whether some Republicans are helping Kanye West get on the ballot.
Minutes before the 5 p.m. deadline, the SUV pulls up. 12 News is the only camera there. Inside, a shuffle of nomination papers for Kanye West, forced to call election officials since the building is closed and eventually emerging.
How many signatures did you collect?
Walking in seconds after 5 p.m. and escorted to the commission's third-floor offices.
Can someone come down and let us up?
Yeah, I'll be right down.
Thank you.
Minutes later, 12 News was asked to leave.
So they are submitting petitions for a public campaign, and we cannot get video of that.
They're in our office, which is closed right now.
Okay.
And the woman submitting the petitions
Anything on signatures or who you guys are?
didn't answer any questions on the way out. But tonight, 12 News has confirmed that's Lane Ruland, a Madison attorney who has worked for the Wisconsin GOP and RNC. The New York Times is also reporting on a handful of Republican aides in other states working to get Kanye West on the ballot, raising new questions about the campaign's purpose. As 12 News exclusively showed you last night,
this is just to help put his name on the ballot so that, he can run for office.
the campaign hired the firm Let the Voters Decide to collect signatures in Milwaukee in an 11th-hour effort to get on Wisconsin's ballot.
From the organization?
Matt, are Republicans responding to any of tonight's developments?
Patrick, in a statement late tonight to 12 News, the state Republican Party says it appears Kanye West's campaign made a smart decision by hiring an experienced attorney.
Some voters waiting in excess of 2.5 hours to get inside the city, reducing 100 polling locations to just 5. Tonight, implications moving forward not only for the state, but the country, as all eyes shift toward November.
We begin our story at the end
I think it's crazy. Mad crazy.
of a nearly 2-hour-long wait in Milwaukee.
I'm gonna stand here. I'm gonna make my vote count.
Wisconsin had long anticipated its presidential primary and spring election would receive national attention.
So I brought gloves, disinfectant wipes, bleach water, alcohol water.
Just not like this.
Just doing what I can. I'm working from home, so I have the time to do it.
Jessica Diggins lined up after her shift as a nurse.
It's hard, but we're getting through it.
2,400 National Guard members awaited statewide. Wisconsin, the only state not to postpone its April election, taking unprecedented legal action to do so. A legal battle now likely to replicate in other swing states nationwide.
Every healthcare professional, I think, is looking at that and saying, this is insane to do what we're doing today.
The Assembly Speaker, who helped sue to ensure polls opened, volunteered himself in Racine County.
I mean, I look at this and say to myself that we have every single opportunity to be safe.
Governor Tony Evers, who just 24 hours ago tried shutting down the polls, simply issued a statement saying he was overwhelmed by the bravery of poll workers and voters, but still deeply concerned about the public health implications moving forward. A funky election indeed, with results still 6 days away.
You said she was lazy and she didn't work hard for what she had.
No, I did not. I never said that. They can roll the film.
1 year into the presidency of Donald Trump, we wanted to hear directly from Indiana voters.
Look at the way we're fighting today.
Good to meet you. Welcome.
So for the past month, in 2 separate groups, we gathered 16 Hoosiers, invited them to City Market in downtown Indianapolis.
If you want to tuck some of the cord in, that'll probably help.
Mic'd them up and asked them to lay it all on the table.
I'm a brown girl from Pakistan, and I stand with President Trump.
He came down that elevator in New York saying Mexicans are rapists, they're criminals.
I want you to give me a word or phrase that describes President Trump's first year in office.
Absolutely winning.
Winning.
We're going to get so sick of winning, but we're winning. I love it.
I'm going to say chaotic.
Yeah, that's a better word.
Say what? You took my
Chaotic.
word.
I think it's shameful, the rhetoric that's been coming out of his office and from his own Twitter feed.
I'd say disappointing.
I'd say brilliant.
Brilliant.
I would say too much drama.
Too much drama.
So working for the American people.
Panelists from our Sunday morning show In Focus picked the participants. 8 voted for Hillary Clinton, 8 backed Donald Trump. But as we quickly discovered a year later, it's still much more complicated than that.
Is Hillary president right now?
Thank God she's not.
Well, there you go.
In this first year, what has the president accomplished?
She's been making a list.
3 pages.
She's good to go. How much time you got?
He's helping the Veterans Administration. He's repealing 22 regulations for every new one.
I have never seen Donald Trump do anything in his life that was not self-promoting.
I will say this, I just got my 401k statement in the mail, and my account has doubled since Donald Trump took office.
The conversations were civil, but seemingly every issue we brought up brought out the divide.
What are we teaching our kids? If I had a child and he was calling people names, he would be getting a timeout. And our president called a senator publicly that she would do anything. Now, he didn't say it.
It's a filthy mind that interprets what, you know.
Oh, my Lord.
I mean, seriously. Okay, and she was bleeding all over from wherever. I mean, it takes a dirty mind to interpret it that way. I'm sorry.
A fight. Everything's a fight. There's nothing positive about it.
Well,
nothing.
you know.
To underscore the divide, the conversations turned to immigration. These voters meeting just days after Colts player Edwin Jackson and Uber driver Jeffrey Monroe were killed by an accused drunk driver who was deported twice and is in the U.S. illegally. In response, President Trump tweeted, "This is just one of many such preventable tragedies. We must get the Dems to get tough on the border with illegal immigration fast." Should what happened in Indianapolis this weekend shape the debates in Congress on immigration? Should it be part of that conversation?
I think it's very well should be, because you may say, well, it's an isolated case, but not particularly, because lately we have had an influx of MS-13 gangs that have come into our country illegally.
I don't think that this incident should dominate the conversation in Congress as an isolated incident. There are situations of illegal immigrants in California and Texas and et cetera, that takes place on a regular basis.
I think it still goes back to he's the leader of our country and his words matter and have an effect. This is a man who's advocated violence, who has said people who he has said at rallies at his campaign to rough people up who cause a ruckus. That's insinuating.
What about the people that were paid to go to Trump rallies from the Clinton administration to cause ruckus that weren't Trump supporters?
In our First Amendment, you have the right to protest, whether you're paid
to
or not.
Jump on cars and set things on fire?
You have the right to protest, you have the right to take a knee.
Also still contentious, the NFL and protests this past season.
They were kneeling because of racial injustice. They were kneeling because we've got Nazis and KKK marching.
The Democrat Party is basically Marxist. That's where I'm coming from.
Big jump.
Well, if you want to call him a Nazi.
I have to go back to
I didn't call Donald Trump a Nazi.
But people
I said
have.
That,
but people have.
Well, that didn't come out of my mouth here today, ma'am.
We also found the divide not just political, but personal.
When you see it with your own eyes and you see the heart that the man has, it's fake news. It's all fake news.
He still presents himself as a combative bully. He does.
He's fighting for us.
But why does he have to present himself that
I
way?
think it's because the media attack him all the time. People,
He's saying
the Hillary
things.
voters are so
I'm hearing
angry.
him say things. The media
That's
is
where
not,
the anger is coming from.
The media is not saying it.
During
I'm
the
listening to it.
during
They're
the
not telling
election-
me what to hear.
The future is what's so uncertain, and the solutions even more so. Do conversations like this matter?
Very much so. And they need very much so.
But they don't happen enough naturally.
And that's why people don't understand each other and there's hatred.
Stephen, are conversations like this important?
Yes, I think they're important, but I think one of my biggest issues with these types of conversations is making sure that there is a level of respect.
I want to listen more, because I'll have to say that, maybe I've been living in a bubble myself and hanging out with the same type of people with the same viewpoint as me.
These are key conversations that need to take place, because in order for us to come back together again and be one people, one nation, then this has to happen.